Morning all. I'd like to show you a game of great historical importance this morning. It was played way back in 1475 in a place called Valencia, which is in Spain. So this game was recorded as part of a poem. It's kind of called an allegory. The chess game is actually like a representation to accompany the poem, and the poem can be found on a dedicated website which I'll put in the link in the description of this video, lectisternium.org. so it shows the poetic background for each move. So the poem uses the game as an allegory for love. Its structure is based upon 64 stanzas, which is the same number of course for the chessboard squares, 9 verses each. The stanzas are grouped 3 after 3. The first stanza in the group represents White's move, the second one Black's move, and the third one is a comment on the rules by the arbiter. The 3 stanzas in the beginning are an introduction, and the last one is checkmate. And supposedly the game is the first one actually documented with the modern rules of chess. So what I mean by that is all the legal movements of chess are reflected in this version of chess played more than 500 years ago. So, okay, and who was playing white then? Playing white was Francesco di Castellvi. He was a lord of several towns in the area of Jativa and Valencia, Spain. He was an advisor in the Aragonese court of King Ferdinand. He died in Valencia in 1506, and so he was one of the co-authors of this poem, this Catalan poem, which describes the first modern game of chess. His opponent, Narciso Vinyoles, was born 1442, died 1517 in Spain. He was a politician and writer and belonged to a family of lawyers. In 1495, King Ferdinand recommended him for the position of Justica Criminal. He spoke Catalan, Castilian, Latin and Italian. He was married to Brianda de Santiago, niece of the banker who backed financially the first expedition of Christopher Columbus, believe it or not. He was a co-author of the Catalan poem, this Catalan poem, Chaque d'Amour. So, okay, let's have a look at the game. So you really need to check out the poem as well. So the game, as I say, is an allegory accompanying the poem. So E4, and also there's 3 kind of planets represented: Mars, Venus and Mercury. So Mercury being the arbiter, it's closest to the Sun, and Mars being white and Venus being black. So let's see. So D5 was played, the centre counter, and so we can consider the centre counter, which is now known also as the Scandinavian, to be the oldest opening actually in chess, older than the Roi de Pairs. So E takes D5 was played. Queen takes D5. Knight C3 attacking the Queen, and the Queen steps back to D8. Bishop C4. Knight F6. Knight F3. Okay, and here after Bishop G4, the best move from White here is actually Knight E5, offering the Queen, and Bishop takes F7 would have been a very short poem indeed. So sacrificing the Queen spectacularly. Black's best though is Bishop E6 to prolong things. So after takes, F takes, castles. White's better, and the game could continue longer there. So Bishop E6 as a defense. Also, White could play, as well as Knight E5, another strong move. Bishop takes F7, check. So if king takes, we have knight e5, king moves back, knight takes g4. This is nice, very nice for white as well. Okay, it is a bit of a blunder technically. So h3 was played in any case, okay, which still gives white an advantage of the bishop pair. Bishop takes f3, queen takes f3, e6, not minding losing the b7 pawn, which is a bit risky. That's taken. The knight moves to d7. Now aggressive move from white, knight b5, attacking c7. That's actually defended with rook c8. Now in another aggressive move, knight takes a7, attacking the rook. Probably best for black is rook b8, but in the game knight b6 was played. The rook is taken, the knight takes back. d4, bit of a clever move there. Queen takes d4, then queen takes c8 check. Knight d6, attacking the queen and the bishop. This is responded with bishop b5 check. The knight takes the bishop, the queen takes, knight d7. And here, you know, this is great stuff for 1475. This move d5, opening up lines. E takes d5, so a pawn sacrifice made use of here. Bishop e3, temporary pawn sacrifice. Bishop d6. Now white plays rook d1. Black goes onto an aggressive path now with queen f6. Rook takes d5. Queen g6, attacking g2. Now this is ignored here with white with this move, which is clever in its own right in some respects. Bishop f4. Black's best is queen takes g2 here. So for example, rook f1 check could drive the bishop back. Queen e7, queen e2. White's still better, but black fell in for bishop takes f4, and now this allows white queen takes d7 after king f8, queen d8 mate. So the game is interesting from a historical perspective, if it really truly is the first recorded game in history of like modern chess. So recorded as part of this poem, so that's how it might have survived not being lost, if it's part of this poem, this allegory. So a fascinating game from a historical perspective. Check out the website. I'd really recommend checking out the website for the poem, and I'll give that link in the description of this video. Okay, comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.